Do not go gambling on the election. It's no secret that I am Bucks County proud and thrilled to talk about Parks Casino, the #1 casino in all of Pennsylvania, which happens to be in my native Bucks County, where they have it all. World-class headliners at the Excite Center, the Open-Air Liberty Bell Beer Garden, the Parks Grill Steakhouse, Bamboo Noodle House. They're just a few of the outstanding restaurants. Action, excitement, live entertainment. It is a destination. It's Parks Casino. Time now for the headlines from Smerconish.com, the newsletter. At long last, it is Election Day in Pennsylvania, and after a massive storm blew through here in the last 24 hours, it's a great weather day in PA, so there are no excuses if, unlike me, you are registered as a Republican or member of the Democratic Party. Get out and vote today. It's the most exciting primary day that we have had in a long, long time in Pennsylvania, because there's a U.S. Senate seat up for grabs. Pat Toomey, the Republican, is retiring. The gubernatorial mansion also about to be vacated because Tom Wolf, the Democratic governor of Pennsylvania, is now term limited. I should mention at the outset that tonight I'll be part of the CNN coverage from 8 p.m. Eastern time until midnight. Oofa. Oofa. That's an early wake-up call for me tomorrow. So I will be a dish rag tomorrow when doing the headlines.
Good to know. We'll all tune in to see how you look and act. Where will that be in Philly tonight?
So CNN is going all in. CNN is going all in for this election.
I saw the previews for it, and they said starting at 7 p.m.
Right. So I know that there will be an Anderson team in New York.
Okay.
There will be a Jake team in Washington, and I will be with Wolf Blitzer.
Nice.
In Philadelphia. I think at the American Jewish History Museum, a balcony, a rooftop.
Oh my gosh.
But it should be a great setting because the American Jewish History Museum overlooks Independence Mall, where you've got the National Constitution Center at one end and you've got Independence Hall at the other. So yeah.
What a backdrop.
So looking forward to that. Who will win tonight? Who will
That's
win
the
tonight?
question.
I say probably President Trump. Probably President Trump will win the Pennsylvania primary night. Now, I'm about to explain to you why. It's a little bit complicated. First of all, in the end, all the action is inside of the aisle. Josh Shapiro is the Democrat running for governor. He's the incumbent attorney general of Pennsylvania. He has no opposition. So Josh Shapiro will be the Democratic nominee for governor, and he will be most formidable. First of all, he's a talented guy and good on his feet. He's amassed a lot of money, has a lot of IOUs, politically speaking, ran a very clever commercial that I'll come back to in just a moment, but it'll be Josh Shapiro who will be the Democratic gubernatorial nominee. And in the end, John Fetterman, despite having suffered a stroke last Friday, he's the incumbent lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania, still hospitalized. Nice family photo that he and his wife tweeted out yesterday. I think he's going to be just fine. I hope he's going to be fine physically, but I think he's going to be just fine electorally because Connor Lamb was just never able to get any momentum in this race. So Fetterman, I think, is going to cruise to victory and will be the Democratic nominee for the U.S. Senate. I still ask questions as to why there was a lag between the Friday stroke and the Sunday afternoon revelation of the stroke, and where was the media, and does it speak to a lack of coverage and vetting and so on and so forth. But Fetterman's going to win the race, and everyone wishes him Godspeed. So on the Republican side of the aisle, the GOP race for the U.S. Senate had been perceived as a two-man race up until recently. Mehmet Oz, Dr. Oz, who moved to Pennsylvania, or did he, from New Jersey, and Dave McCormick, who no doubt was born and raised here but hasn't been back for a long, long time, spent most of his time more recently in Connecticut. The two of them and Kathy Barnett, I guess give her credit because a few years ago she came from Virginia. It's unbelievable to me. There's really not a Pennsylvanian, as I think of it, among the three of them. But McCormick and Oz combined, both directly and on their behalf, up until a week ago, $50 million. And yet Kathy Barnett emerges in the final week of the campaign to make it a three-person race. Now, do you say, well, she was able to emerge having spent 137,000 against their 50 million. She was able to emerge in spite of their spending advantage or because of their spending advantage. In other words, they engaged in such mutually assured destruction, MAD, the old concept from the Cold War era, that they gave her an opportunity to pop. With voters, I think, kind of disgusted by the way they were tearing each other down. But did she peak too soon? Did she peak too soon? My hunch is that she did. By the way, I'm not making any prediction. All right, I'll make one prediction. Here's one prediction that I will make. My one prediction is that if Kathy Barnett loses tonight, she will not concede. That is my one prediction because she ran for Congress in southeastern Pennsylvania just 2 years ago, lost by 20 points, and never conceded. I think she peaked too soon. I think that probably Dr. Oz squeaks out a victory, a narrow victory. But honestly, if I woke up in the morning or if tonight when I'm on CNN, if it went any one of the three ways, I wouldn't be floored. I just wouldn't. But if you push me, I would say that Oz has the advantage. The weekend of revelations about Barnett, the sort of thing that with more vetting, either by her opponents or by the media weeks ago would really have harmed her. I think there was enough that came out this weekend that probably thwarted her momentum. Just yesterday, the confirmation by NBC of her marching with the Proud Boys. Although her take is to say, well, yeah, that's me, and I was there to support President Trump, but I don't know who I was marching around. I don't buy that, by the way. I think that if you are marching surrounded by people carrying signs, dressed in a distinctive way, that you'd recognize them as the Proud Boys, you'd know the company you were keeping that day. But, that came late. It came late. The homophobic tweets, the anti-trans tweets and comments, I would like to think that even for this incarnation of the Republican Party, it's just too much. It's just too much. If she wins, it'll be because Doug Mastriano pulled her over the finish line. Mastriano's the Republican running for governor with whom she's campaigned and been paired. And Mastriano is the candidate that Donald Trump weighed in support of just last Saturday. Oddly, I know it's a lot to comprehend. Oddly, Trump weighed in for Mastriano as the gubernatorial candidate because he believed that Kathy Barnett was going to win for the U.S. Senate. And where Trump had already come out for Dr. Oz and had not weighed in on the governor's race, Donald Trump didn't want the headline from Pennsylvania tonight to be that Trump got blown out in PA. So he weighed in for Mastriano, notwithstanding the loyalty that had been shown to him by former Congressman Lou Barletta. Trump goes in for Mastriano, having already gone in for Oz, and Mastriano's ascension seemingly benefits Barnett because so many of the people, many evangelical Christians who are coming out for Mastriano are naturally inclined to vote for Kathy Barnett. So if Barnett were to pull it out, I think Donald Trump can blame himself in an effort to protect his own win-loss record tonight. He weighs in for Mastriano, and Mastriano might just sort of grab Barnett by the collar and bring her across the finish line together. That could happen. So he goes for Mastriano, and Mastriano, in my view, can't win a general election in Pennsylvania. I do not believe that Mastriano or Barnett can win a general election in Pennsylvania. And by the way, some of you hearing or watching me will correctly say, well, yeah, Michael, but you didn't think that Trump could win in your state in 2016. And that's true. But Mastriano and Barnett, to me, are too MAGA for MAGA. They are just like Biden likes to talk about ultra MAGA. They are ultra MAGA. Something else about the gubernatorial race that I have to say. In the end, Trump goes for Mastriano because Trump is for Trump. And Trump wanted a W in Pennsylvania. He could not afford to come out of this state having not picked a big winner, because then everybody says, oh, he's lost his touch, right? If Donald Trump had gone for Lou Barletta, I think Barletta could have won the race. That's my view. I think that if Trump had shown the loyalty and taken a risk for Barletta was one of the first two, he may have been the first members of Congress to come out for Donald Trump. And Trump did not repay that loyalty. If Trump had gone for Barletta, I think Barletta could have defeated Mastriano, but I don't think that he will defeat Mastriano tonight. I do not. But why do I say that? Well, there's a group called the Commonwealth Partners, a pro-business group akin to the Club for Growth. And Commonwealth Partners has spent $13 million on another candidate whose name I've not even mentioned yet, Bill McSwain, the former U.S. attorney. Trump has said, and he said this before he endorsed Mastriano, like, this is the one guy you better not vote for, McSwain, because he thinks that McSwain was insufficiently loyal to him as U.S. attorney in not going after so-called election fraud. And you might remember Bill Barr and McSwain got into a bit of a spat. I'm already into the weeds. I don't want to get too far into the weeds on all of this. But Commonwealth Partners has spent $13 million. They raised and spent that on McSwain's behalf. And within the last 24 hours, they pulled up stakes. And they said, we're no longer for McSwain. We think that all candidates who are not Mastriano need to, because we're not going to stop him, need to coalesce around Lou Barletta because he's our only shot to defeat Mastriano. But I think it's too late, because having spent all that money and because they decided so late, there was no television that was left to buy. All of our available campaign spots on local news or as part of the cable outlets and national, they've all been purchased. So Commonwealth Partners wasn't really, in my view, able to do much to boost Barletta. The prospect exists that tonight in Pennsylvania, you could have a gubernatorial nominee in Mastriano and a Senate nominee in Barnett, both of whom were in Washington on January 6th. Nobody says that either broached the Capitol, but they were both there. Barnett marching with the Proud Boys, even though she says she doesn't know who she was marching with. So in the end, I think that it's probably Mastriano who has Trump's endorsement, who gets the nomination for governor. I think that it's probably Oz, who Trump endorsed for the Senate, who squeaks out a victory. And if I'm right, then Donald Trump gets to claim big victory in Pennsylvania because his two candidates won. I'll say this. If Trump had not endorsed Oz, I think Oz would have faded. And I think that Dave McCormick would have been the candidate. And I also think that Dave McCormick would have made for a stronger general election candidate than Will Oz. So anything could happen. Anything could happen tonight, but my gut tells me at the end of the night that it'll be Trump who is laying claim to two victories, one of whom, Mastriano, no way can win a general election in PA against Josh Shapiro. Mark that tape. That is a prediction. I'm giving you. And if it's Oz and Fetterman, I don't know. It's a clown car. I don't know what happens in that race. All I know is that 1.3 million Pennsylvanians who are registered independent or non-party affiliate like myself, it'll be the classic example of what is wrong with closed primaries, or as I say, closed primaries suck. Because you will then have a very progressive John Fetterman and a very MAGA Dr. Oz or McCormick or Barnett, and a whole swath of the very purple Commonwealth in between and unrepresented. So, yeah, there you go. Yesterday at Smerconish.com survey results, should the media have the same access to a political rally as a candidate's supporters? Thank you to the 11,647 who voted. 94.35% said yes. Robert Costa was on the show yesterday, native Bucks Countyan, now the CBS, lead political reporter, just co-authored Peril with Bob Woodward, comes back to Bucks County to cover Barnett and Mastriano, and some guy in a tri-corner hat says, no, you're not allowed to come in because you're with the media. That's how nutty Pennsylvania has become. All right, TC, I monopolized this time. Tell me something else.
Well, before we move away from the primaries, I appreciated what Brian Stelter pulled out for his newsletter. So in Brian Stelter's newsletter, he wrote about the vetting that the candidates are getting in Pennsylvania. And he wrote, this primary is playing out in Michael Smerconish's Pennsylvania backyard. On his CNN show last Saturday, he made the following point, quote, every time you read that another newsroom has been eviscerated, please realize what society loses in terms of government oversight. Your local school board, the county commissioners, and yes, statewide candidates are getting too much of a free pass. In a bygone era, all these Pennsylvania candidates, the ones you were just talking about, Michael, all these Pennsylvania candidates would have been fully vetted by the local media. Instead, there's now a scramble underway to educate the public in the 11th hour when many have already returned their ballots.
I appreciate Brian giving me the hat tip. And yeah, I stand by all of that.
And then from Pennsylvania to the land of the pine, North Carolina, just a note to keep an eye on Madison Cawthorn, who is in a primary race for his congressional seat. The way it works in North Carolina is if in the primary someone gets 30%, over 30% of the vote, they automatically win. So it's not a runoff from that point. So because of who knows his notoriety and all the publicity that he's been getting, it's a very crowded field. So the take from down there is he probably could get away with it and get the 30% tonight, and then obviously have to face an election against the Democratic candidate. But the primary is the one to watch out for today.
Yeah, again, it's a shame. Independents shut out of the drill.
And Trump last night on Truth Social said recently he made some foolish mistakes, which I don't believe he'll make again. Let's give Madison a second chance. So he got the Trump nod of sorts. Will definitely help him. A headline from CNBC, Elon Musk says Twitter deal cannot move forward until he has clarity on bot numbers. Is this a thing like, finding mold in the inspection and getting away?
Yes.
Like, what is this?
Yeah, sure. He's doing his due diligence. Hey, Elon, when you look at my 240,000 Twitter followers, I think they're legit. They're
legit. Definitely, you haven't bought any.
No.
BOUGHT.
Right.
Whether or not they are bots, BOT,
but please,
that's not up to you.
Go look at some of these people who have tens of millions, because I've always believed they were fake.
President Biden is heading to Buffalo today, says to call shooting a terrorism and push gun reform.
And today, TC, you know that the survey question at Smerconish.com, and I worded it very carefully. I tried to tether to the way the Associated Press asked this question not long ago. Frankly, I'd like to do a comparison between those who listen and follow me and what the national survey said.
Good.
Do you believe that a group of people is trying to replace native-born Americans with immigrants for electoral gains? Last night on his program, Tucker Carlson, although doing an opening commentary on the catastrophe in Buffalo, didn't even touch replacement theory and the great commentary and analyses that are being done where people are saying, hey, he is the primary proponent of this. Didn't even address it.
As we discussed yesterday, the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial is back on after a week off.
Yes, it is.
This was a chance for Johnny Depp's lawyers to cross-examine Amber Heard.
TC, I'll just say this. Last night, I watched Vinnie Politan on Court TV providing analysis after the trial day had ended. And at one point, it was Vinnie and 3 female expert guests, one of whom, a former guest on this program, and she's great, a body language expert named Janine Driver.
Oh, yes.
And it was stunning to me that all three of the two lawyers and Janine Driver, all three of the females explaining to Vinnie Politan why they didn't believe Amber Heard.
Oh, wow.
Why they didn't
And he
believe Amber. No, Vinnie plays it down the middle and just asks the questions. But I mean, it's just more of that. There are more men than women on this jury. There are more men than women on this jury, but there is something really here to be analyzed when we have more time as to the way women look at women and are looking at this case.
Hey, if you're going to talk about women looking at women, what a great segue to the last headline that I would like to bring up, which is the New York Post. The SI, Sports Illustrated swimsuit model Yumi Nu, shamed as, quote, not beautiful, fans fight back. This is the first time that a plus size swimsuit model has graced the cover of Sports Illustrated. She is not alone in gracing the cover. Swimsuit Illustrated, a Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition usually has more than one cover. There are 5 this year. They also include Kim Kardashian in very itty bitty tiny little bathing suit.
Let me just see, which do you think most people would want?
Tiny.
Kim Kardashian, the plus-sized woman.
Or there's also Elon Musk's 74-year-old mother.
I'm going with Elon Musk's
She looks
mom.
great.
Okay?
She looks amazing.
That's that I shall purchase.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, please register for the Smerconish.com daily newsletter. If you're not already registered, watch the newsletter cast on my YouTube channel. Go vote if you're in Pennsylvania. See you tomorrow.